Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Vivid Earth. Today, I've got two special guests, old friends. Francine as my colleague, comrade, and good friend in New York. And we'll be talking to James Rink today. James Rink is the founder of Super Soldier Talk on YouTube and supersoldiertalk.com, and he's putting on a conference. It'll be his second conference this year in October. We'll be talking about that. But basically, just to give you a little bit of background on James, let me just get my notes up. So he, as I said, he was a super soldier in the secret space program. So he understands programming and trauma very well. He's also a meditation practitioner, a researcher, an author, and a video producer. And he has just done a ton of stuff. I don't know when he sleeps, but James Rink has achieved quite a lot. And also, he's created a platform for super soldiers. So he's interviewed literally hundreds, if not more, super soldiers and become a little bit of an expert on, you know, being able to sort of establish who are the real super soldiers and who are perhaps the ones that just want to jump on the bandwagon. So I greatly respect his work. I've chatted to him twice in the past, and we're going to talk about some interesting topics today. And then, as I said, I've got Francine, my good friend here. Um, Now, Francine is the great granddaughter of Sergio Osmeña Sr. He was the fourth president of the Philippines and played a crucial role in the nation's fight for independence. As president of the Philippine Commonwealth from 1944 to 1946, President Osmeña led efforts to restore governance and rebuild the country following Japan's occupation during World War II. It is his legacy of patriotism and leadership that continues to inspire Francine's value of civic duty. Francine lives in New York now. I'm going to ask her to give you a bit of background when we get to her, so she can give you sort of an overview in her own words as to how she got what her experience growing up, coming to America. She has been working in cybersecurity, and she is a top researcher, and she's a very good friend of mine. So welcome to you both. How are you, James?
I'm doing good. Thanks for inviting me on here today. I know there's a little hiccup with the scheduling, but we got to sort it out. So um, you have as much time as you want, and I'll answer as many questions as I can. As yeah,
Awesome. No, it's
possible.
all good. And I think we're all struggling with the time zones and timings and the daylight savings, and time seems to be speeding up. So it's a little bit wonky at the moment for all of us, I think. But James, maybe you can give the viewers a little bit of an overview, your journey, just summed up how you got to actually understand that you were a super soldier. How did that knowledge come to you? Because normally a lot of these super soldiers don't know that they are actually in these programs because they get memory wiped. So maybe give us a bit of an overview as to how you actually discovered that you're part of
Sure,
this program.
absolutely. So as a child, I used to sleep in either in the closet or under the bed because I was my mom would watch these documentaries with these gray aliens. I'm like, oh gosh. So I would see I would so I would get anyway, but I and throughout my childhood, I had periods where my memories were like totally missing. Like, so somebody came up to me and said, "Oh, I remember you when you were a kid." And I'm like, I don't even know who this person is. I'm like, what? Who is this? And so it was my mid 20s. I came across somebody on the internet that had some unique experiences as he had psionic abilities. So he had telekinesis. He could see aura. And he said that there were he could see Lucifer, and he would black out in school. And I was just joking one day. So, oh, maybe you were a super soldier. I said, go check out this David Icke website with his Andy Perot figure. So this Andy Perot said that he was taken to the library, the top of the library at Rochester, New York University, there where he was experimented on MK Ultra, where they would torture, traumatize him to create a butterfly effect, where you would go and have so much anxiety that your consciousness would split into different alters, and his alters were being programmed for certain abilities such as jumping out of an airplane, landing on your feet, and he said he could do like telekinesis, like he could phase a pencil into the wall, something like that. So I was like, I told my friend Nathan, go check out this website. And then that's when what I believe were his alters came out. And I've been actually was talking to some of them over the last year, the half of the period I knew him, and he said that they were his friends coming over. And then that's when I realized he had DID, MPD. So it's the definition has changed over the years from multiple personality disorder to dissociative identity disorder, and now they have like a new terminology for it. But ultimately, what it is your consciousness. In order for it to survive trauma, you would split. Your soul is a crystalline in nature. So when you apply trauma to a crystal, it will shatter. So each one of these shattered fragments can be, you can insert programming and so on. So anyway, I told my friend Nathan that yeah, so use your abilities to defend yourself. Like so, if you have this telekinesis, you can yeah, fight back. So. About 3 weeks later, he contacted me again. He said he was in a white he was being kept in a white room and his memories were being deleted, and soon he won't remember me. And I'm like, well, just keep fighting, right? Uh, Another month goes by. He contacts me again. This was the day after somebody starts following me around the mall, taking my photo, and I said, well, who is this? And he said he'll take care of it. He said that he activated my DNA, and then I could do everything that he can do and going on into the future. So probably about another 6 weeks go by. There, I go lay down in the rec room where, because I had severe insomnia as a kid, even now as an adult. So I would sleep sometimes on the couch. I sleep wherever I can. I don't really like to sleep in the bed because I feel like yeah, but. So I would sleep in the sleeping bag, and then so it's like February, right? And I woke up, and there was these three claw marks down my shoulder, and I'm like, well, that was kind of weird because the night before, I heard something moving around the kitchen, and I'm like, what is that? And right before I went to bed, I went downstairs to close the door because it was drafty in that room, and I saw this little blue orb moving around. I'm like, oh God, what is this? I slammed the door, but so yeah, later that's the next day, I woke up with the claw marks. So I told Nathan what's going on. He said that that we were fighting each other in our past lives, him as Lucifer and me as one of the Supremes, one of the most powerful beings in the universe. And every time we would fight to the death, and then we would reincarnate, come back, and do it over again. So I said, well, I don't feel like I'm some supreme being right now. Let's just use your abilities to shut off, to go after the Federal Reserve. So let's get a hold of Saint Germain and end this slave grid. Anyway, I said, well, let's not fight anymore. So, okay. So I know I can laugh about it, but it wasn't a laughing matter at the time because, um, let's see here. Another month or two goes by. There's another month goes by. He contacted me again. He said he's in an underground facility. He's holding a power cord plugged into the wall and telecommunicating to me through the internet to let me know that he's bleeding and dying and that they captured him and that yeah. Um, but during that process, he said that he destroyed 1,800 worlds, the Greys' monetary system, some of their supercomputers that they used for their monetary system, and messed with some of their minds. Okay, so he
Mm.
goes. I don't hear back from Nathan again for a while. I get this paralysis. I can't move, and I'm getting needle marks. Now it went from a weekly basis to now a daily basis, and I actually just got a mark this morning, so it's been going on ever since then. Um, there's some kind of probe coming around, uh, connected to there's certain reptilians in charge of these super soldier alignment projects, and Nathan was part of one of their projects. So, and I know that because I talked to Sonny Sito. Do you know who Sonny Sito is? Anybody? No? Okay.
No,
No.
no.
Sonny Sito is this contactee who said that in her past life, she said she was one of the Greys aboard the craft at Roswell. So she was told not to come to planet Earth because it's dangerous. She ignored her commander and came down, and there was electrical storm, and then of course there was some radar involved. And next thing you know, she got captured and then lost her life. But Um, so now she's in an autistic body now, and but she's in contact with the Gray Collective. I say, well, why are the Grays doing this to me? And she said it wasn't them, it was the reptilians. So, but she said that Nate had a strong reptilian mind control program, and that she said that I was also a reptilian hybrid and so on. But I don't want to go into much of that. But what I will say is that yeah, okay, so a year goes by. I don't hear anything. Oh, I skipped this part, didn't I? Yeah, I had this paralysis. So I called up the poison control and say, hey, could you just test my food or water? Maybe something happened. And they said, oh, no, you can't do that. You have to call 911 if you can't move. And I couldn't, I literally was like crawling on the floor because and then so they brought the ambulance in, took me to the hospital. They said I was psychosomatic, and then they kept me there for 3 weeks, charged my account $25,000, and then yeah, they released me when I told them I was feeling good. But I was still getting injection marks and needle marks, and then I realized that you weren't going to get any kind of help from people like that. So okay, so I was released, and then my family doesn't want to hear anything about Nathan or needle marks, or they just like they don't want to hear about it. And so I'm isolated, I'm alone, and let's see here. I go to a doctor because they required me to do like ongoing therapy. So I went to a doctor and I told him what was going on with Nathan and my needle marks. And I said because I said I wanted a regression, and he told me that, oh, we don't do that anymore. And oh, by the way, here's your Resveratrol medication. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, very nice. And I told him that I'm gonna get a second opinion. So after that, yeah, Nathan goes missing, and I found him again. He was posting poems about killing women on a poetry website, and I reached out to Nathan. I said, Nathan, where have you been? Why are you posting poems about killing women? What's wrong with you? And his girlfriend contacted me and said that Nathan doesn't know who you are. And I said, oh, well, we're going to fix that, aren't we? So I had there's 150 pages of chat transcripts, and I sent that to his girlfriend Jezebel, and all that's in here. And Jezebel told me that Nathan made it all up. And I said, okay, great. Tell Nathan to contact me to let me know that he made it all up, right? It's a very simple question. And so Nathan contacted me, and Nathan's basically he contacted me not under the name of Nathan, but under the name of Gray. This Gray, because he had said he had Dr. Gray working on him. So this Dr. Gray wrote me back. I'm actually trying to find it, but maybe I won't be able to find it in here. Yeah, there's 400 pages, so that's but this Dr. Gray said that there was no evidence in any government logs of telekinesis or aliens or brainwashing existing, and we're watching you. And I'm like, so I wrote the girlfriend back. I said, why is he talking like that? Why did he sign his name under this Greg and not Nathan? And so then she told me that she would wake up, there were glass shards in her back. She said that she doesn't feel like she's in her body anymore. She said she found bottles of embryos in the basement with his name on it. And she said that he was starting a cult with other telekinetic kids to start the New World Order. That's what she. But I said, okay, well, that's whatever, fine, move on. So I moved on my life, but I was still getting these needle marks, and then I came. That was around 2005 or eight, roughly somewhere around then. I joined MUFON, and for those of you who don't know, that stands for the Mutual UFO Network, and so it's a great network for people who have alien contact experience. However, I had a Milab experience, so they were not very open-minded. They were kind of rolling their eyes when I was telling them this stuff. But anyway, so and then you find out the people in charge of MUFON were government spooks. I'm like, well, I guess on the local level, it's the grassroots, but up level. So I was not going to really get the help I felt like I needed. So that's when I think it was in 2008 or so. I came across my friend. So yeah, we did some sessions together because he looked just like me, and under this regression, this reptilian would come out named Tian, and Tian said he was a 14-foot tall reptilian that is like can think of like a human scientist that what is like a hippie human scientist that says fuck the establishment. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word, but I did. So that's the type of reptilian scientist. And he was working on Super Soldier. He said that we were like toys to the military. They were clones that make these clone bodies and were expendable. So he didn't like that because they put a lot of work into making the super soldiers. So yeah, and that was Adam was on my team, and he was AKA. Hold on a second. I think it was no, was it Yes, it was Dreadnought, and I was Sabretooth. And that's my call sign. And then there was another guy too at the same time I was working with. He was AKA Bloodstreak. And I went out to LA to interview him. And fortunately, I had to delete the interview because he murdered his girlfriend. But he was trained to use blunt weapons as a super soldier. But I was the sniper guy. Okay. All right. So great. Well, we find all this stuff is going on. Tian is telling me that Nathan was taken to the moon. He even gave me the name of the base. It's Alpha 49 or something. It's the number codes in my book. That basically they tortured him, and then the clone. I talked to the clone that's acting all weird. And so there's this area on the moon where these reptilians would come and they would capture certain souls, angelics, because you have to be an angelic in order to be a super soldier. So they would keep them in vats. So Nathan was like in this vat, right? And they would stick their tails in it, get energy. So he was being used as a battery because what I described in my book is, remember earlier I discussed how soul is like crystalline in nature, right? So my particular soul matrix is it can be fractured and then they can put programs in it. But his soul matrix is more like think of a crystal that has like a lot of hairs growing out of it, like really thin. Um, yeah. So once you fracture it, it just turns into a mess. So they're just using him as a battery. But okay. There's more going on with that, but around 2010, I set up Super Soldier Talk to help people like myself to provide answers. Maybe we can ideally like help each other. Although that was a kind of a dream. I learned a lot along the way there. But helping the super soldiers wasn't necessarily the easiest thing. But I created this network called Super Soldier Talk, and I've interviewed. I think I've done 1,000 interviews now. I don't know. I haven't really kept
Wow.
track of it all, but yeah, I've gone over the country, actually now the world. Right, I went to Canada, so and you can go to my website supersoldiertalk.com. It'll take you to Rumble. You can check out some of the interviews. I do have one. Adam never wanted to come on the show, but he gave me permission to share the information, so I did a video on TN. So, and then Ivan Teller actually channeled TN too, so I got that one. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's awesome. Now the 20 and back programs, that kind of is interrelated, not necessarily one and the same thing. I'm going to get to Francine now, but I just want to set this up for people that maybe not that familiar. And by the way, that was a lot of information. If somebody's not that familiar with super soldiers, they might be like a little bit in shock right now. But you know, these things are going on, and there's enough evidence of this, and it has been going on for what 70 years plus. Um, and you know, they use people like you in their sort of dark fleet or secret space program uh, armies, basically, to fight certain causes off planet. And so these things are very real. We live in a multi-dimensional galaxy, and we are just like, we haven't even discovered a fraction of what's going on out there in the world, or in the galaxy, I should say. So you weren't involved in the 20 and back programs, right?
Correct. Yes, according to Peter the Insider, I've served 330 years. But that was last time I've talked to him was about 5 years ago, so give or
Wow.
take five. But so a variety of different clone bodies. I do not know how many clone bodies I have. I do discuss in my book how they can take your DNA and place it into some kind of cyborg and use the consciousness as a slave. But different clone bodies, like one would have this glass plate over its head where they could quickly put implants in. That one they take out they try to remove their ability to have emotion, but I don't know if that necessarily works out well with me, but I guess it worked well enough, right? Then they have some different types of clones. One could be enhanced with aquatic, like with some kind of gills. I was part of the Project Crystal Gates was as an so they're creating like these clone bodies that can go do underwater missions. Um, there's another example. Let's see here. I've had avatar bodies that they would put us in on missions. Like there was this one, like a Draco avatar body. They wanted me to infiltrate Orion Prime. So I go into like this their home world there, and there's like these spires, like in this movie Corsican. And they're and the Draco Queen is there, right? And I'm delivering a message, and I'm trying to like meditate and see the message, and I'm like it's in my hand. And I say, well, just try to move my hand a little bit like this, like a smart glass pad, right? And there was like a list of what the Cabal's activities. I think it said there was like 300 ships or whatever they have. It lists. I think they said it was like 300,000 people annually. They would have like this gray. Well, I guess it would be like the matcha, right? They were in charge of this. They have like this receptacle. They would go to a male, take the sample of the DNA in the receptacle, and then they would modify it with nanites, and then they would go to a female, and they're just going around doing this all. I mean, it's I think it's extremely unethical for us for this to happen going on. But where unfortunately, planet Earth has been yeah, we had planetary defenses to defend against this behavior prior to Tiamat exploding. So Tiamat was attempting to hijack the builder race technology, and when it backfired, the planet blew up, and it also allowed these other negative extraterrestrials to come to planet Earth and mess around with our DNA. But anyway, okay, so we were talking about what were we talking about? I'm going around. I
Fascinating
can't remember.
stuff. We were just talking about the 20 and back. And
Oh yes,
so for
different
people
bodies.
that don't know, you can serve 20 years and be back within a few seconds in your body. So they regress you, right? And that's why you say you've actually served 330 years or and lived, I guess, but you're still the age that you are now
Okay,
in the
yeah.
human
So
body.
to answer that question, yes, very, very good point. So let's just say Kruger wants to send me on a suicide mission. So a clone could be created. They would insert a virus, and the virus would deliver the information into the knowledge of the mission or whatnot, the different programming through the trip seat protocols. And then from there, uh, it could last 2 weeks, or some missions last 2 years. Other times they could be sent back in time, forward in time, and so it's not just a 20 back. Now that is certainly a thing for a typical SSP experiencer, but if you're used as a super soldier, you're most likely going to be cloned repeatedly, especially if you get clawed alive, Mars by a spider. I don't remember that particularly, but I do remember there was this mission, and we were trying to infiltrate this cyborg factory, and we did. That the thing blew up, so I got in trouble for that. But whatever. So trouble means they would put you into a trip seat, torture you. They would shoot you up with a drug. I talk about in my book called Ananabolis. So it's a drug that keeps you from losing consciousness while you're being tortured. So
Mm.
they have ways of making things worse than death, and that there is something to that. So, uh, you know, theoretically, one could technically take themselves out and think that it's over. But if you have TRIPS protocols, you've got regen tanks, med beds, variety of different types of technologies, then you can reanimate that body. Yeah. There's no death, such thing as death out there in the secret space program. But yes, I knew there was something. Oh yeah, there was a mission. It was on Solar Warden. I was there was this battle where my ship got captured, and they took us to this. Oh, it was the Hammerhead facility. That's this high security prison, right? And the way they would torture us is they would send our consciousness back in time to some kind of caveman type planet. So, um, yeah. So there's ways they can make things worse than death if,
Wow.
out there.
It is just so unethical, but I guess, as you say, there's no respect basically for human life, so they do whatever they do until that is stopped, which we hope is soon. I just want to jump to Francine because I haven't really given her a chance, but she's been interested in the soldier phenomenon for a very long time. Maybe Francine, you can just take us into what got you interested and started and to dive deeper into the subject, basically.
Sure. Thank you for having me here, Anina. I'm very grateful. Thank you, James, for being on. James Rink has been instrumental in bringing the SSP experiencers together through his Super Soldier Talk podcast. I discovered his podcast sometime during COVID, between 2020 2022, I suspect. And he's very generous in offering his platform for individuals to share their stories and raise awareness about the Secret Space Program. What is this about, the Secret Space Program? I had to buy James' book to find out and watch more of his podcast. But my understanding is that the Secret Space Program are covert operations where individuals are taken from their lives and used without their consent, and that these programs are reportedly directed by Earth-based military and political organizations alongside extraterrestrial groups. So many participants claim to have endured really profound trauma, which resurfaces as they recall their alternate lives within these programs. So after reading James, the first couple of chapters of James' book, excuse me for that, just a moment, I had some images of me being in a cage, in an electric cage. And I also recalled as a child that I had phenomenal abilities to, like, I had innate remote viewing abilities. I had very and disability to see very clearly from very far. Little, I had photographic memories, and they were all turned off when I was 14. But anyway, in my case, also Rock Cloud, who is an active member of the Secret Space Program, U.S. Navy, did an online YouTube reading, or reading on me on YouTube, confirming that I'm still part of the program. And just to confirm that further, I had to ask Ivan Teller, and I also asked Catherine, who is a very good friend of James, to do an intuitive reading as to whether or not I am still in this the SSP program, and they all confirmed that I am, and which explains why I had these innate abilities and also some very strange memories of me as a child. So going forward from there, I have been interested in James' disclosure movement, and I know he's putting up a conference this October 8 to 12 in Orlando, Florida, and that he has a Healing Soul Survivor Foundation, which, I'd like all of us to support. So this is the reason why I'm here.
Thank you, Francine. Yeah, fascinating stuff. And I guess, these memories don't always come back at once. They come out little by little. Things sort of resonate. You read something, you see something on YouTube, you watch someone, and there's a certain remembrance, and that sort of activates as time goes by. But I think, people need to understand that this is very real, and we need to start talking about it. We need to start disclosing this info, because as far as disclosure goes, I think this is sort of not top of their list right now, as we can see with all the UFO disclosure, which is very sort of, what is the word? Elementary at this stage, very sort of basic. There's so much more to come, but I guess you've got to get the public started somewhere. Now, right. James, yeah, Francine?
I would like to add that it's, I watched the Super Soldier Talk podcast featuring Nugi, who is from Indonesia. And James is reaching audiences in Southeast Asia, and there might be other people who might want to reach out to him because of this program, where I guess, we're all over the place. And
Yeah.
it's very, I had suggested to James in private, maybe in a text message, maybe one day he could have a SSP activation conference in Southeast Asia, as we never know. So this is how broad his reach is. You know, this is such an important movement because people here need to get healed. And I don't understand why James can't, is there a certain technology that will disrupt our attachment to the secret space program? How does that work?
Certainly, there's ways of what I call reprogramming, bringing back the alters through trip seek protocols. Typically, there would be a quantum crystal drive computer where the memories will be uploaded or downloaded. It could also not just only bring back your memories, it could end ignorance in this planet. So it would take about 2 hours to learn a new language. I think it's like 2 days for a PhD and then 2 weeks for all PhDs, right? So it won't take too long to upload them all. So yes, there is technology to do it. Now, here's the problem. Many people have got sleeper programming. They have the omega programming, which is a self-destruction. If you start getting your memories back and you're not doing the spiritual work, that is, you're not doing like work that we're doing, Francine. Let's say you decide to stay asleep. You're getting memories, but you're trying to stay asleep too. You're avoiding it all. Then that's when usually the Omega program can kick in. So in many ways, I am helping save lives. So
Yes, you are.
Definitely.
So, Anina, if you don't mind, if I ask James what his healing soul survivors entails, and all about the Super Soldier Conference.
yeah, thank you. So I set up Healing Soul Survivors back in 2013. Now my idea, so my nonprofit helps to assist individuals with PTSD. So, but here's the problem. Um, our subgroup here of PTSD survivors are people that are not really recognized by any large institution as real. So initially, I tried putting it under the veteran side of it all, but because I didn't go into the U.S. military, it makes it kind of difficult for me to get any kind of veteran support services, even though my records show that I was in the U.S. Army. James Martin Rillsburg, I died in 1979, and then they brought back my body to under Sandia, the base under there. I forgot the name of that facility, New Mexico, Sandia. Yeah. So we got this. So I get sort of given up on trying to get any kind of grants or foundation funding, but I mean, if you know anybody out there that wants to help support the super soldier movement, by all means. Otherwise, right now everything has been grassroots effort. For a while, I was actually doing pretty good, and then PayPal shut down my account, and then the people that were donating to PayPal did not go over to the new processor. So if you want to donate to Healing Soul Survivors, you can go to Healing Soul Survivors. That's SUL Survivors, SURVIVORS.org, and you can donate. Or you could come out to the conference. So I initially there was a super soldier conference, super soldier summit back in 2012 and 2013. So back then, Max Spears, James Casbolt, myself, and we did have a few other people too. I know Nisha Johnson was there. Some I don't know other people. They sort of dropped out of the disclosure community, but uh, so those particular events failed because I don't think the public was ready for it back then. And honestly, I'm not even sure the public's ready for it today, but I am taking a great risk by putting my 501c3 nonprofit into debt to try to pull this off. So I need you to go to supersoldiercon.com, purchase a ticket, because that will help support the movement and also support you because you can come to the Super Soldier Con event, Super Soldier Activation Conference, October 8th to 12th in Orlando, Florida. Rain or shine, we're going to have a great time. And then it's 4 days of fun. And then on the fifth day, we're going to go to Universal. If you want to, there's also SeaWorld. And I don't know if you want to go to Disney, you can do all that. So it's right nearby. And the hotel rooms are very affordable. It's $110 a night for hotel room. And we have got packages with double beds and so on. But and we also have food packages too. If you want to have lunch with the speakers, we have a lunch pass for 4 lunches. There's also a VIP gold pass where you can get, I think there's 13 meals and all that, if I'm not mistaken, or 11 meals. Go back on, but yeah, and there's going to be a fun dinner. We have something called the Heroes of Disclosure Memorial. I did this last year at my event where we honor the deceased SSP disclosure people, or really anybody like in the disclosure community. So it was it wasn't easy to do that. I don't do well at funerals, but so you can pay respects to the dead, because in this community, another one just dies. You know, back then I didn't have Sean, it was a Sean David Morton on there, and so unfortunately we just lost him. But yeah,
Oh, sorry.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's amazing. A conference like this is not easy to put on because, it's not like you can go to regular corporate sponsors and say, hey, do you want to sponsor my event? It just doesn't fit with their sort of
their mission statement.
marketing campaign.
Yeah.
So getting sponsorship for these events is very difficult. So as you say, it's grassroots, and it always is a big risk that you take. You book a hotel, conference room, you book speakers, you have major expenses, and you actually don't know, are you going to actually cover the expenses? So people, yeah, please support James. James, are you going to have an online pass as well?
Yes, there is online pass. I think it's like 140, 150. So again, that's for 4 days. You can go to supersoldiercon.com. Let's see here. I do have a ticket for the dinner. So let's just say, I don't know why you would want to do this. You want to come to Florida just for that one night. You can come to the dinner, and just have a great time with us on that Saturday night. But
And tell us about the speakers, please. Who's going to be speaking?
absolutely. Yes. Can I share my screen? I can't share
Yeah.
my flyer.
Yeah, let
Okay.
me I probably have to.
Because I could show you. I mean, I could tell you, but showing you might just be as easy as telling you.
Yeah,
Yeah, still
there you
says
go.
disabled.
Now you can share.
Okay, great. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
good.
very small though.
Oh, is it still too small?
The fly is small. Yeah.
Is that better?
You can
There we
enlarge.
go.
That's better. That's better.
Okay.
Thank.
Okay, great. So Super Soldier Activation Conference, come on out. I'm going to bring in this singer, so she's going to be singing. We'll have live music for the Disclosure Memorial, Heroes of Disclosure Memorial on the Sunday. So, but here's some of our speakers. Jean-Charles Moyen. So he was in Solar Warden on the, hold on a second. So it was the Excelsior, because I know I keep getting mixed up because I was on the Excalibur, but he was on the Excalibur. Okay. Michael O. Sedona. So he has a network out of Sedona, Arizona called Truth on TV. So he worked at it was a military contract. I forgot the name, which one. I don't know if it was Boeing or Lockheed. One of those where he worked in one of the skunk works too. So he had contact experience. Johnny Enoch, he is a researcher. So he's gonna be talking about the USAPs, unacknowledged special access programs. Uh-oh, what's going on with Chris? I gotta go fix that again. Chris O'Connor, he was an intergalactic liaison. Sorry, Chris, I didn't. Okay, we have Rebecca Rose. She served on the Mars Colony Corporation, and I think she was also in Nachtwaffen as well. So Rebecca Rose has much of her memories back, way more than I do. So, and she's also a psychic intuitive, so you can come and get a reading. Oksana Buchanan, she is a psychic intuitive. She has her own YouTube channel. Um, and she actually can do sessions for you too if you want to, because a lot of SSP veterans have trouble getting their memories back, even under regression. So she can remote view that for you. So, I mean, I recommend that you try to get your memories back yourself first, but and then you could try the regression, and then you could try one of these readers. But Oksana is amazing. She served in Nachtwaf, and we served together. So Laura Worley, she wrote a book on MK Ultra. She's got some amazing experiences herself. Of course, Dylan Monroe with the Deep State Mapping Project. He does the Deep State maps. You might have seen the 17. I can't even say the letter, but the 17 maps, right?
Yeah.
Michael Jaco actually did serve in Mars Colony Corporation, and I remember hearing him talking about it. However, I'm going to have to persuade him to get up on stage and share. He doesn't like sharing his SSP memories, but we'll try to get it out. He will be coming. He's got his crystal sound healing bowls, so you can meet Michael Jaco. Hi, Michael. Okay. Kimberly Lusana, she is a super soldier and remote viewer, so she has her own. I should probably remember the name. Anyway, if you go to the website, the Super Soldier Con, I have everybody's bios in there. You can find her link. She can remote view as well if you have questions about your memories or whatnot. Mary Beaver, she did serve. I don't know. She said was like Earth Defense Force or something like that. Not necessarily knocked off, and I'll have to get back to you on that. But her bio is online. So Linda Paris is with McAllister TV. She has a channel over there on Rumble, and also it's not Brighteon, it's the other one. A bit is BitChute, right? So
Yeah, she's on BitChute.
So she talks a lot about MK Ultra and Hollywood and so on. So we also have Julia. She is going to be doing her SSP remote viewing. She typically talks about Tartaria, but she really wanted to come and share her presentation. So I'm going to give Julia a chance to share some of her intel on some of the. We'll have to find out more. Specifically, I have to give her a call, see what is she actually going to remote view. But Ivan Teller, he's a amazing channeler based out of the Orlando, Florida area. So shout out to Ivan. Hello, Ivan. And
Hi, Ivan.
Yeah, he'll be there doing a reading. No guarantees. He wouldn't guarantee it, but I think he'll be there. We have
actually,
What's up, Francine?
I wanted to say that I am part of Ivan Teller's university community or whatever. I support him.
Okay, well, yeah. Francine, you should get on there and tell him to definitely he actually probably needs to be helping promote it too, because the more of us get the word out, the better.
Okay.
This will be. Okay, so we also have Miles Johnston. So he operates the Bases series out of the UK. So he does mostly focus on experiencers in that part of the world. So thank you, Miles, he was actually at the Super Soldier Summits back in the day. So Angie Dollar, she is a psionic super soldier. She was trained by in the Nachtwaffen groups to unfortunately it was a brothel involved, but she had different altars along with Christy. They worked together. Actually, all three of us did. So Christy also served like a professional remote viewer in the secret space program. She would be in charge with analyzing people, whether or not they're lying or not. So I have a memory of being in this facility where there was this tall gray that came in, and it was like trying to get in my brain, say, "Tell us what you remember." Tell me what I'll say, "I don't know." I don't say, "Screw you." I don't remember. I don't know even what you're talking about. So, and it was like trying to get in my head. And so Christy was there. It was like they were training us to resist mind control. I mean, to be infiltrated is what. So anyway. Okay, so Spencer Howe, so he has a lot of
he's amazing
contact with the Draco. So he says he's going to teach us how to defeat one, but then he got really scared because he is heavily targeted. So a lot of that's something we don't really discuss. Most of the people on this list dealing a lot of trauma in their life, where it's want to say I'm being targeted. It could be financially. It could be just the lack of support with their own families, or yeah. So a lot of us we're considered like black sheep in the family. So, but anyway, okay. Lucas, he served in I think that was Solar Warden. So he has a lot of course, I've done few interviews with him. You can check that out at supersolartalk.com. Lucas. Kusa Uch, he is amazing seer, remote viewer, channeler. I mean, honestly, Kusa probably, he's very eccentric. So if it wasn't for his eccentricities, he probably would be like probably world famous by now. But bless his heart, Kusa Uch. So thank you for your service, Kusa. I've known him for a very long time. Actually, helping me out in the meditation device. So we worked on a project together back in the day. I'll go in the meditation device. Ashton Neusler. So I don't know if I'll be able to get him here. If enough people buy tickets, we can get him here because he's having a lot of financial issues. So we have to take care of all that for him to be there. But if you come and buy a ticket, yeah, we'll see what we can do. So Ashton served in Nachtwaffen, and he has like almost like 100% full recall, probably like more most of these others. Colin O'Brien, he's a great remote viewer. He does mostly shows about the financial reset. But he and I actually served together in the Alpha Squad. I think it was Snake Eyes. I think his call sign was, I don't know. It's actually, you know what? It's not in my book. I haven't, but maybe Colin can share that when he gets up on stage. So Thomas Alvin, he was a military intelligence officer in Nachtwaffen, and I forgot the name of the ship. It's like some kind of small jump ship. I remember talking about him multiple times. He's been on the show, my show, a few times. Actually, I would say everybody here on this list, has anybody on this list not been on my show? Maybe Julia, but she's been. So yeah, we'll have to fix that. Okay, so go to supersoldiercon.com, purchase your tickets now. The prices are going up April 30th. And I know it's early, but you can take advantage of all that and support the movement. So
Awesome.
okay.
Thank you for that,
James.
James.
I was wondering, could you show us your Neotech device and how it works?
Absolutely. I've got two of them over here. This one's the monastery. Okay, so I'll show you. Pull this out. So when you get your
So just to preface, this is your meditation cube, right?
Yes, meditation cube. I had a cube returned back to me from Mexico because I thought it was a medication cube because of how the word meditation is actually similar to medication in Spanish. But so now I just call it a children's toy when it if you're outside the US for custom reasons. But here, so you get the manual. Your cube looks like this. There's 6 sides to it. You can open up the lid. This is actually sealed, so I'm not gonna be able to open the lid for you unless I have to reseal it. I don't feel like doing that. But so the monastery has 6 pyramids. They all point inside the cube, so they're inside the walls, right? They're all pointing in, and then there's a cavity in the center, right here, where the sphere is. So got 6 pyramids, a sphere, and the sphere can contain different materials. This particular device has 22 layers of I have platinum, gold, silver, blue diamond in here. What is it? Orlite 23, and also the Andara crystals. So this unit is actually like $1,800, but and that's not actually my most expensive unit. I have one that's even bigger.
How does it work? Talk about the technology for us a bit.
Yes, absolutely. So there's this symbol on side the box. It looks like, let's see if I can find another picture here. Okay, so you got these pyramids. There's like 3 pyramids, 3 of these stencils this side, then 3 go around this way. So what it does, it directs chi energy from the inflow inside the open circle is the inflow. So chi energy is coming out, and then the closed circle, the chi energy is going back in. So it's a chi energizer. Anything that is cone or pyramid shaped produces chi energy. And actually, I put orgone materials. I use the original Wilhelm Reich formula. So
so there's orgone in there as well.
Yeah, it will melt. So don't put it like in the oven or anything stupid like that. Yeah, just be reasonable. Don't drop it down the stairs. They're made real. I think they're made really well. But if you do drop it, it'll probably be okay. Just try not to do that. And so yeah, so here's the proper way to meditate. Put a pillow on your lap, and then you can put the cube on the pillow. You don't touch it. You activate it. Device activated increase. Device, we trust you completely. Stargate, we trust you completely. Device activated Stargate mode and automatic mode. So you sit there for about I like to meditate for 30 minutes. And when you're done, just say device in session. So there's no right or wrong way to meditate. You can clear your mind, try to do that. It may be difficult if you don't know how to do that, because that's an expert technique. Or you could just sit there, focus on positivity. If you want to have manifestations, you see it already there. You're thankful to the universe. So that's the proper way to manifest, is to be thankful that it's already here. So thank you, Jennifer, for having a great turnout for Super Soldier Activation Conference. Thank you. Thank you all. Did
So,
I answer your question?
what inspired you to make this? I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I bet you found meditation as a tool to deal with the trauma and the memories. And then, how did you actually think about, well, let's make a meditation cube? What
Very good
inspired you?
question. Yes. So it was actually right around the time I started Super Soldier Talk. I found this Kusal Uchi was posting videos of how to make this meditation device online. And it was very crude and rudimentary. And then we were working together and he told me what to do. And then I extended upon it where I wanted to be more professional. So I had CAD designers, and then I also some of my clients would tell me what stones to go in there. They would recommend it. So it was like a team approach. So initially, Kusal was working on my team. However, uh, there was a whole thing. I can go into it if you want to. With him, it was like there was the cabal head and the abduction. Do you want to you want to hear the story? I can share it.
Oh, wow.
It's just,
Hmm.
it's
So
just
it was
good.
targeted?
Okay, I guess so. Okay, so I will share the story. Yes. All right. Okay, so let's go back. I think this was probably around 2012. Kuso said that the Cabal had talked to him and it was upset because James Rink is he's a super soldier. So he is supposed to be designed for war, not for peace, not for making meditation, right? So and then the meditation cube was helping turn off the programming because um, we're supposed to self-destruct. For me, they wanted me to self-destruct at 45, and I actually just turned 45, but I'm not going to do it. So that's not going to happen. So that's part of the reason why we're doing this is through meditation, we can turn off the programming and integrate. But so Kusal said that he was taken to a facility where they were trying to figure out what to do with James Rink because now he's not following the program. And initially they said, well, we can't really kill him. We'll turn him into a martyr. We can't buy him out. Although, sometimes maybe it kind of, I don't know. I don't think I could take a buyout. But and the other option is to what that is, or to clone Kusal and to stop him from working with me. So they took him to this underground facility in Venezuela where he was placed into this sarcophagi with other free energy inventors. Um, and then they put a clone of him. And so the clone was sabotaging the work that we were doing. So I had to let him go. Um, but then one day I get a phone call out of the blue on my home phone line. Remember back in the day when we still had home phone lines? So he calls me up and he says, "Are you James Rink?" I'm like, "Yes, Kuso. What is it?" And he said, "I'm supposed to talk to you. They say we were friends." I'm like, "What? Who? What? And how did you get my home phone number?" So then he said that there were a group of these Palladians dressed in black ops. They went into the facility, shot the staff, rescued the captives, including him. And then he was taken to a helicopter that was silent, levitated helicopter, and then was brought to a tier craft, the triangular. And then from there, he was brought into a Palladian spaceship or a mothership where they would put nanites into his brain because the facility basically gave him a lobotomy. They were trying to get his technology out of him without him actually giving it to him. So it's like a soul trap consciousness chamber. So they repaired his body, and then they brought him back down. They told him to contact me, and like so he's telling me this story, and I'm like, okay, so great. I don't know if I'm ready to work with you again, but so I was skeptical about it, but he said to put a warning out there for people not to purchase the stuff from his company. But I don't want to focus on negativity. But anyway, but the point is, uh, yeah, so then it happened all over again. There was a second time when this happened. Trying to remember what it was. It just came to me, but now I don't know. It might come to me, but anyway, so Kusa, yeah, he's an amazing person, but I wish the best for everybody. I personally, now I remember. Yes, he called me up and he said, "Are you James Rink? Are you James Rink?" I was like, "Yes, Chris." And he said that his consciousness was trapped. He was on a ship, that Palladium ship again, and that they got lost in the timelines where because it's a multi-dimensional. They're going through different realities and timelines. So he lost track of me because he said he was going to other timelines where I embraced the war aspect, and in those timelines there was a pole shift or there was nuclear war, and I was involved with search and rescues where essentially the cyborgs, the cabal goes underground. They think they're going to go underground, survive their nuclear apocalypse, right? And then they think that their super soldier clone army is going to protect them. But what happens is the super soldiers get activated. They remove the cabal, and then they were involved in searches and rescues. What's left of humanity. So I was in a fully cybernated body, and he reached out, tried to contact me, and he said all I was doing is scanning him. Are you James Rink? Are you James Rink? I was like, just scanning. I'm like, so then he asked me, this time, are you James Rink? I said, yes. And then he was so excited because he said that most of the other timelines we had the nuclear war, and there was only a few timelines where I was actually a light worker. So anyway, so I thought that was kind
That's
of
fun.
interesting. But
Yeah, it's interesting because we all exist in different timelines, right? But does it resonate with you that there's all the timelines are collapsing now, and that this is kind of going to be the main timeline, this higher timeline that we're currently in, or in this particular time space continuum?
I think time itself is conscious, and I think ultimately is the decision of that particular field of body, the process we go to. However, through our own co-creative abilities, we can attune ourselves to the timelines that we want to be on. Now, uh, I have a guest on my show. He's extremely pessimistic. He thinks there's going to be nuclear war. He actually
Mm.
gave me the dates. He said that he knew John Titor. So when that particular timeline, what happened is Skynet was activated somewhere. It was August 29th to 27 or 29, but John Titor doesn't remember. So he was sent back in time to try to change the timeline. However, I don't know if I personally don't think we're going to see a Skynet activation, but he said that the AI went into like the nuclear power plants, the missile silos, and so on and so on. And but but he also said other things that didn't happen, right? So we didn't see nuclear war take place earlier on and so on. And but
But is it possible that it happened in another timeline, or that it is in a lower
well,
timeline?
like a Mandela effect, right? So the original timeline, the South won the Civil War, but how many people remember that? There are a few actually do remember the South winning, but there's other time. I mean, we can talk about Mandela effects. Actually, somebody I was just thinking about today. Somebody even said there was a Mandela effect about my show because I started in 2010, but this guy said he was surprised that I had so many subscribers because he said there was another timeline where I didn't start till like the 2014. So, and that timeline had a lot less subscribers, but. So yeah, the
Right.
multiverse is quite diverse for
Yeah,
sure.
we haven't even touched, we haven't even discovered an inch of it. I think it's going to be interesting to see how things unfold. Yeah, the timeline thing you just mentioned, the Mandela effect. I did a show a while ago, or I kind of connected some dots, because the story goes obviously that Mandela was killed, actually, I think in the 80s, but many people, um, like none of the people in South Africa had any memory of that. But in a lot of sort of international regions, people swore that it was front page news, it was all over, he died. And then suddenly he wasn't dead anymore. So, but then this other, I was listening to this QHHT practitioner that did a regression therapy, and she uses this person to bring forth a lot of universal information, not just his own information. So she actually has a few people like that does that. And he was talking about a galactic war that happened on Table Mountain in 1994, where the reptilians were like just like ripping through us, and apparently it was so devastating. And somehow they shifted that timeline, they erased that everyone sort of lost their memory of that, and nobody even knew it even happened. So that was interesting. And in the
I
same
remember
year,
the
yeah,
I remember the Tiananmen Square massacre where Tank Boy was run over on the road, and there was I remember seeing a blood streak on the road, and the shock of the reporters, how evil the CCP, it needs to end. I remember that, and then when I said that to one of my friends, they're like, "Well, that James, that never happened." So I didn't believe him. I had to go online and look at the footage, and they escorted a Tank Boy away. He got escorted. So I think that might have possibly been part of that other timeline where there was that invasion. Maybe there was a lot more war in that timeline. Probably the CCP probably did collapse, creating a bunch of instability, maybe nuclear
yeah,
war.
absolutely
Uh,
fascinating. But yeah, as you say, some people choose that apocalyptic timeline, and it's really up to us as to what we choose, right? Because we're kind of responsible for creating our own reality in a way.
I
And
believe,
yeah,
yeah, I believe that. But I still feel like we should learn. We shouldn't try to not to think about it because I know some people in this. So uh, we have this new age community. And
it's
I
all love
experienced
and
this
light.
firsthand. Yes, it's all love and light. They said, James, your material is too negative. It's ruining everybody's vibe. You should be focusing. Why focus on the past? Let's focus on the future. I'm like, well, we can't fix the future if we can't acknowledge what happened in the past, because then in the future it gets repeated, right? So yeah. But I always believe that we should know. We should know the right and the wrong. I mean, I talk about the parallel reality where the Nazis won World War II, and actually, it was life was pretty good for most people. Not all, but
They were
especially if
better
you're,
off than we are today.
yeah, interracial marriage was not accepted, but it was not. I mean, yeah. Anyway, but so there's other timelines. We had a timeline where there was a Tartaria breakaway, and right now, I remember somebody even messaging me on my chat. They said they were a drone operator in the CIA, right? So uh, they lost contact with this drone for like 5 minutes, and then it reappeared and went through a portal. And then next thing you know, there's like these spaceships lined up saying that they were part of the United Federation of European States, and they said you're trespassing, and it looked like a Star Trek age. And so
Wow.
certainly, I think if Saint Germain was successful, right, at creating as the United States of Europe, we might have actually seen a timeline where Tartaria came, and I do believe that it can come back. Tartaria can be over in the entire world. We can have that amazing architecture and technology. It won't have to. You study Tartaria, Anya or Francine? You
Yeah,
know what
I
I'm talking
love Torterra. I actually want to cover
Yes.
more on that subject. And but some people also believe that beyond the ice wall, there is actually a Torterian culture that still exists and lives there in,
about?
5D.
I asked Kusal about that if he could channel or doing those universal downloads that you talked about. So what he stated is that it was around 1814. Prior to that, there was a civilization, I think it was just north of China. Well, I mean, that's not just the Mongolia area. So the Great Wall of Tartaria was used to keep people from escaping. That particular area turned dark and evil. It was more of an Egyptian culture. They were tall Egyptian humanoids. And then there was a reset where the weather generators were kicked on all over the planet. And then there was also spaceships coming in, dropping lasers and water, mud floods, and all that. So, but um, but then there was also, it looks like they're from the inner earth. Many of them had to leave before those cataclysms took place. So it was just a few, yeah, not all of them perished. So, but even in inner earth, there's like different realms. There's a humanoid. So like the Tartarians would probably been about 12, what's there, 9 to 12 feet tall humanoid. And then there's another humanoid that's like 30 foot tall, these Titans. And then there's even one that's 150 foot tall. So, and then there was like wars that's going on between those groups, and that's what affected the mud floods here on the surface. There's a lot we're
Mm.
not being told.
I can't wait for it all to come out, right?
I know, I agree.
Exactly.
And that's not even, I mean, we've talked about being in space, we talked about timelines, but what about even in the ocean? Much of it is
Yeah.
still unexplored. under different regressions that I've done, it looks like the sea stretches deep within the earth. It goes
Yeah.
underneath
There's a
continents.
sea under the sea.
Yeah, it's like only 1/3 of the sea is actually on the surface. The rest is in inner earth, and there's beings down there, aquatic races. There's creatures that prefer to stay down there, thankfully. And yeah, so there's a lot to explore for sure.
And lately, there's also been some things in the alternative news about some very big creatures in our seas that somehow maybe, I don't know, came through a portal or they came from those seas into these seas. Did you hear about that?
Sorry, what, a portal
No,
from
like
different oceans?
creatures, like very big aquatic creatures that came through, either came through a portal or I don't know how they got here, that we were.
Hmm.
I need to do research a little bit more on that, but I just heard something like that. So there seems to be a lot going on in the oceans and the seas.
Yeah. Well, in my book, I talk about the Project Crystal Gates, and one of the things that the dolphin people have said is that they can, in a pod together, they can open up a portal. And not only can they go portal into deep and within the ocean, they can portal, there's a catechin ship over Jupiter. And from there, that catechin ship, they can go to other worlds like in Sirius and beyond. So um it's pretty amazing, and not just the dolphins. Whales can do it. Apparently, they don't have to have a pod, but if that's the case, why did they get hunted almost to extinction? I think maybe if they were stressed out, they can't open the portal. I'm guessing, but
Yeah,
um, so
fascinating stuff.
is there any reports of dolphins or whales mysteriously just disappearing in front of people? That's that should be investigated.
I haven't heard
Not,
anything like that, but
not that I know
Yeah, I know like the
of.
merman, mermaid creatures. Now they supposedly can they can swim across the ocean. It takes 2 hours to go from the East Coast to Europe, but they're incredibly fast.
yeah,
They're
didn't
probably
you interview
the portal.
someone on that subject recently? Francine actually told me about it. The mermaids.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Or
don't
was
know if
that
it
somebody else,
was
Francine?
in James. I posted something about mermaids being eaten by the elite, but
Yeah.
that wasn't from a James
I thought it
podcast.
was an interview he
I,
did.
yeah, at any rate, I'd have to leave soon because I have to leave the conference in about a few minutes. Could
Okay.
it, could it,
Well, I
could,
mean, again,
could it,
time has just
could
flown. Where did
could
it
it give
go?
So I just wanted to give a shout out, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
to Rock Cloud. Rock Cloud, thank you so much for your active involvement in the U.S. Navy Secret Space Program, and um, thank you, Catherine. I highly recommend Catherine, if you're intrigued by information on super soldiers and you want to discover whether you might be part of such a program, I suggest reaching out to Catherine. Her information will be displayed on this podcast under Show More. And thank you so much, Anina and James. I know this is going to be a very successful conference, James. Thank you for putting all your heart and soul into it. I will be supportive of all your endeavors. And thank you very much, Anina. I shall talk to you soon. And I shall take my leave. Thank you very much,
See you
audience.
later.
Thank you,
Bye.
Francine. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. James, you've done so much support work for all of these people, not only super soldiers, but this whole community. You've dedicated your life to it. I also really enjoyed you did a documentary on Nesara Gesara, which I thought was interesting because it's not your main thing, but it is, of course, something that many of us have researched and followed. And I really enjoyed that as well, going back like literally centuries, not just decades, all the way back to Saint Germain. Do you want to quickly touch on that?
Absolutely. So the documentary is 3 hours long, and it took 3 years of my life to make. So
Wow.
just a little disclaimer there. But if you want to watch it, I recommend you go to my channel and go look up Changes on the Horizon. So there's different versions of it. The newer version is better because I talk a little bit about some free energy going. And that was that was right after the Department of Energy was created. I think that was 76, if I'm not, somewhere around the mid 70s. And so there was like an oil crisis going on in the early 70s where OPEC, they all met together and decided to jack up the prices. So this whole Department of Energy was created to prevent free energy from coming out because the dollar was backed by oil. After Nixon took us off the silver standard in 76, there was nothing backing the dollar. So there was hyperinflation, late 70s, early 80s. So that's why they well, mandated that all oil be sold in US dollars, and it backs up our currency's backed by oil. But so now they have to get rid of free energy inventors because that's going to interfere with the monetary system of the United States government, unfortunately, as this reality. So that's why I added that to them. But anyway, yeah, going back to my documentary, we start off during the period of Elizabethan England, where of course we had John Dee going on back then, and Queen Elizabeth. So she had a secret marriage. It was unacknowledged. She was married with Sir Robert Dudley, and her child was raised by the Bacon family. And so that was later become
Francis
Francis
Bacon.
Bacon. That's
Yeah.
right, yes. So Francis Bacon was Lord Chancellor for King James. So um, Queen Elizabeth, she could have chose someone close to her family, but she chose a distant relative, the King of Scotland, right, to come down. So during that time, during King James, we had the Virginia colony set up. We had, of course, the Shakespearean sonnets, which Shakespeare was a name connected. Basically, it means to shake the sphere of Athena. Athena was the goddess, right? Athena, so she would have a sphere that would shake that would tremble when she's about to attack somebody. So that's why they would call themselves Shakespeare. So because instead of having a sword of like a sword that would cut you, right? They would have a sword of truth. So the sword would be the pen, right? Okay, so anyway, yeah, so Virginia colony and all that. But then he's faked his death. Supposedly there was like rocks in the coffin. I have to go back on that. I know there was something about that. Like he supposedly had a cold, right? And then he just got sick and died. But then he went to mainland Europe, um, where he studied alchemy. Now, the name Bacon, Francis Bacon, comes out to a cipher that refers to the number 33. And back then, the letter J was not in the alphabet, so it was BACON, right? And if you could use the cipher, it would come out to that's how much it's worth, the value. So he reformed the Templar traditions into something which later became Freemasonry. And so the highest degrees of Freemasonry were based on the idea of brotherly love, relief for the poor, and also to gain spiritual knowledge so that you could radiate this knowledge to people all around you, and then you can help elevate humanity. So that's what he did. That's what he was going on in his mind, right? Of course, we know it didn't exactly end like that, but uh, so he faked his death, and then he was able to use experiments in alchemy. So the highest form of alchemy is not to turn lead into gold, although that would be a great thing, right? If we could do that. But it was to turn your physical body into a spiritual, immortal, physical angel, right? So he Saint Germain, when he changed his name to Saint Germain, but it was he basically said it was the action of our fears, the toxicity of our desires, the negativity of our emotions that age us. So if you could um, transmute all those negativities, you can attain the age similar to that of Saint Germain, right? So, and I think he's still alive. But so he went to I think he was adopted. So his Ascension Day was I think it was May 1st of 1680, say 84 or 89 or something like that. So when he ascended into his 3D physical body came more of a 5D body. So once you ascend, you're given a choice. You can either join all the ascended masters in a higher dimension, right, where everything's pretty nice in the fifth dimension, or you can stick with planet Earth and try to stay with humanity until all people ascend. So that's what he chose, right? So He trained under Francis Riccozzi II. He was um, uh, uh, the prince or the king. I don't know. He wasn't a king, right? The prince of Transylvania at that time. And from there, there's reports of him showing up in Venice in 1710, where he played a little barcarolle to his to Jean-Philippe Rameau, the like on the harpsichord. So he met somebody there that later saw him like 50 years later. That's how we have that record of that. And then he shows up in the 1830s on I forgot the name of the street in London, St.
Oxford.
George Street. No, it was in London. Okay, but he was fraternizing with the members of the Kit Kat Club back then, and one of the members was George Stephenson, the inventor of the steam locomotive. So, um, I mean, I don't know if there's proof of it, but I believe Saint Germain taught him how to make those steam locomotives start moving right. So, um, yes, and he was also um, he was a member of the French court in the going back into like the 1700s. He would have he was best friends with King Louis the 15th, the Sun King, right? And he was doing missions where he was on the vessel with Robert Clive, right? And when the British invaded India, the Battle of Passy. So he was spying on the British to see what they're up to, and as a result, he was given a chateau for his service to France at Chambord, then Touraine. So, and that one is actually you can go visit it today. So where he supposedly had like an alchemical workshop where him and King Louis the 15th were creating diamonds, supposedly, right? I knew. Okay, so going back into the 1700s, right? Um, we have so he taught the French monarchy to special dyes to which would help allow the poor to have clothes that are almost as nice as the rich and elite. So he was doing, yeah, he really helped out the people. And now I'm writing a book on it. So this
I
part
was just gonna
is
say you should be writing a book on it.
yeah, but I didn't get to that. So this book actually starts in the 1750s. So he actually had a import-export business, right? So that was, of course, the code name, right? He was a merchant of fine wines and booze, right? So his business was quite successful, and as a result, he was helping finance the not only the Revolutionary War, but he was also providing assistance to the French crown because um, first of all, the monarchy at that time, the French monarchy, they had finance ministers that were embezzling money. So yes, they were in debt to supporting of course, they helped support the American Revolution. Sorry, they supported the American Revolution because the America being free supported French cause because anything to go after the King of England. And also, many people in France believed in the idea of fraternity and or brotherly love and those concepts, which was one of the bases of the ideas of freedom in America. So, of course, Benjamin Franklin had a residence right outside of Paris. Of course, it was outside Paris at the time, where he was, of course, the first was a Secretary of State, right, of the for the United States, or prime. I'm not trying to the minister for okay, but as a representative of the United States, and of course, he died in 1799. But Franklin was not in France during that time of the Revolution. But what was going on is the money ran out. So um, the plan was put in place for the French monarchy to escape, to regroup, and then come back. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. So they got arrested, and yeah, the whole French Revolution broke out. But the young boy and the daughter, his sister, escaped, And they went to Egypt under Napoleon, but then they was settled into an area of the United States, in an area called Lincolnton, North Carolina, which is actually about a 25-minute drive from my house right now. But and I believe I was actually that boy back then in that lifetime. But so anyway, but the thing is, Saint Germain was trying to set up the United States of Europe. Had he been successful, he would have been able to stop the French Revolution and World War I, World War II, and so much death and destruction. But he was successful in setting up the United States of America. But here's the problem, right? So the Illuminati was founded in 1776 by Adam Weishaupt, right? So the Illuminati believed that to achieve the highest state of enlightenment, right, was to use these Machiavellian techniques where you would manipulate the people around you into a lower state of being, or you create states of chaos, out of chaos. So you would create this chaos and then come back as the answer. So many of the elites, it was actually in 1784 at the Wilsonbad Convention. Many members of the Freemasonry met to decide the highest form of masonry, because, of course, at that time it was the 33rd degree, which was the last name of Bacon, and that's why the G is on the skull, not the skull, the compass. Sorry, that was another secret society, but the compass, and also so that's Saint Germain's order. So the members of Masonry, they already actually had their mind made up before they went into that meeting, and it was just a total ambush. So, but there were a few members of Masonry that supported Saint Germain because he wanted to set up something called the Philalethes. Now, the Philalethes secret society was a group not only of the Swiss Guard, right? The Swiss Guard was given to the French monarchy because they ran out of money. And of course, France was very supportive of the Pope and Rome and the church. Actually, Marie Antoinette, in my book, I talk about Marie Antoinette was commenting that it was just such a waste to give them the church so much money. But and that's all they ever wanted, was just take more and more and more, and then they would never really give anything back for the people. And I guess it's still the same way today. But anyway, so the Philalethes was to direct the French crown's escape, and they were all involved in all that. But was Cagliostro, Saint Martin, Franz Mesmer, of course, Saint Germain, Voltaire. I'm pretty sure Voltaire was involved. Many of these, yeah. Anyway, but unfortunately, the Philalethes didn't have new members join their ranks. So in time, they died out, and now we have the what did they call the Scottish Reich? They have speculative Freemasonry and operative Freemasonry, right? So the operative, oh my gosh, I'm starting to go back to one had to do with like the original stone mills, Mason guilds, and then the other one was the version of Freemasonry today. But yeah, so Saint Germain, when he saw what was going on in Europe, if Napoleon got involved and started invading, and he realized that he had to pull away. So around 1810, he resided back in Agarthia, where I believe he's been ever since. So, Saint Germain, if you're watching this, you new. Hurry up, come. We need your help. Anyway,
We need you. Well, the interesting things is, James, the astrological alignments that we currently are seeing is like a 300-year cycle, so 300 plus. So we just seeing again this Neptune in Aries, and a lot of the astrological alignments right now is very reminiscent of that time, including Pluto going into Aquarius. So the French Revolution, the American independence, all of that is happening all over again. I feel like we have a do-over this time, because actually the 1700s was supposed to be like the age of enlightenment, right? But then it got thwarted. Maybe it was early. So now we are just, doing this again, and we're doing it right this time, and shifting the ages.
Absolutely. Well, Saint Germain, he set up something called, it was in 1727. He reached out to certain Jewish banking houses to show them how they can turn lead into gold And the idea was they would use that financing to help fund Europe and build it into a golden age, right? Well, 2 years later, he realized he made a mistake, so then he set up something called the World Trust. And the World Trust, in my documentary, I said it was like, was it like 45 quattrodecian, which is like 45 zeros after another 40, 10 quattrodecian after 45 zeros. It's some insane. Now, I mean, I'm sure it's gone up by then.
Yeah.
There's enough money to buy a gold cube the size of the orbit of Saturn or something like that. I think I said. But yeah, there's so much money, and it needs to be, the goal was to release it to humanity at the right time. And that was around 2000. But at 2001, the banking computers and the World Trade Center, which were going to make the announcement, were bombed. So was the Office of Naval Investigation. A missile payload was delivered into the Office of Naval Investigation in the Pentagon. And the group, and they call themselves the White Knights, had to go underground. And of course, Alan Greenspan was ready to make the announcement that morning at 10 a.m. Of course, at 9 a.m., the computers were, they were bombed. So, and there were like
And
holograms of
we know
planes
what
that went into the
happened.
building. Yeah, so that was supposed to be the announcement. There was another timeline where Trump was running for presidency back in 99. I don't know, do you remember that? Yeah. So if he
Interesting.
would have been president, we would have probably had Nesara and law. But anyway, it is what it is. So yeah.
Yeah. Divine timing, we have to trust it. And this time we're not letting it slip through our fingers. I can probably talk to you for another 5 hours, but I've got
Go check out Changes on the Horizon. I missed out the
yeah,
whole section about the American federal empire. I talk about the banking system.
yeah,
I don't go into the Pacer Trust, but the Pacer money was placed as a subtrust underneath the World Trust, and all these assets they all point back to Saint Germain. But we'll find out soon enough.
yeah.
The truth.
Please share the link with me. I'll put it in the show notes. I think the
Okay.
audience will really enjoy that. And yeah, maybe next time we can dive a little bit deeper into that. But thank you so much for all of that information,
Okay.
wealth of information shared.
So
Really appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to
go to
share?
go to supersoldiercon.com, purchase yourself a ticket, come on out to Orlando, Florida, October 8th to the 12th. We'd love to see you. Also, you can donate to healingsoulsurvivors.org. You can sign up for monthly donations. It's super great, helpful. I was supposed to go to LA to speak back in, it was supposed to be this week. And I asked for donations, and I was short $80. And then I got canned from the roster. So I really
Wow.
need your support. It's not going to take much money for me to go there and speak, but we don't we don't have sponsors here. So the
Yeah, and the
sponsors is
thing
you.
is, the super soldiers are not supported at all. So they have to deal with all this trauma, all this stuff that is impacting their lives here on Earth, and there's no support for them. So please support James, especially because he's doing all of this incredible work for other super soldiers, the movement, disclosure, just so many NGO projects. So please support James's work. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, James. That was
Go to
awesome.
Neological
Thank you,
Tech.
everyone.
Get a copy of my book at Neological Tech. You can also get a
Yes.
meditation device. So we
Get
have free international
James's
shipping.
book.
Yeah, for international clients, customers. There you go.
Awesome. So yeah, support James's work. Thank you, everyone. Until the next one, look forward to seeing you again. Bye.